1973 was the beginning of the end for the glory days of the muscle car era. The music, so to speak, was beginning to stop. Horsepower numbers started to dwindle year by year, and they would continue to do so in a downward spiral that led to mid 100-something horsepower V8s by the mid-70s. But just a year before that, in 1972, with Firebird sales dwindling, GM's rebel brand, Pontiac, knew that they had to do something and pull out all the stops to get people interested in their pony car again. And luckily for Pontiac, they had one last trick up their sleeve that would do just that and also help cement the legacy of one of the most iconic cars ever made. This is the true story of Pontiac's secret weapon, the 1973 to 1974 Trans Am Super Duty 455. From the very beginning, the 455 Super Duty Trans Am was a Hail Mary play for Pontiac. The new F-body designed Firebirds and Camaros were great-looking cars, but they saw a crazy sales slump happen by 1972. Firebirds in specific bore the worst of the brunt, with over 50% of their sales dropping off between 71 and 72. Pontiac knew they had to act fast if they wanted to stop the bleeding, and their plan was to release one of the fastest and most sought-after versions of their iconic pony car. While everyone else was cutting back on power, Pontiac was going to try somehow and do the opposite, which meant that Pontiac would have to pull quite a few strings to be able to make this project a reality. The main issue with bringing together a really fast car for 1973 was the EPA, or the Environmental Protection Agency. Pontiac would need to go ahead and play a considerable amount of mental gymnastics with the EPA's new rules to get this car to pass emissions. The stringent emissions tests that the EPA put forward for 1973 and subsequent years would require that all engines could complete a full 50,000-mile certification program to be deemed fit and legal for road use. However, through some gray area loophole, Pontiac figured out that if they used the 455 engine, which they had in other trim variants, this engine would somehow be already grandfathered in, which meant that the Super Duty 455 that would go in the Trans Am would only have to pass a super basic 4,000-mile emissions test, which it was able to skate by. There's lots of nuances to the EPA's rules at the time regarding emissions, but in the most simplest of terms, Pontiac found a gray area in those rules, and they went for it. The Super Duty 455 power plant looked similar on the outside to any other run-of-the-mill 455 cubic inch Pontiac, but inside those cylinder walls, a monster was ready to be unleashed. Pontiac actually did a lot of stuff to the SD455 power plant to really beef it up for track use, including thicker bulkheads, forged rods and forged pistons, 4-bolt main bearings, and a specially strengthened cast crankshaft. There was actually even a space in the block for the Super Duty 455 cars to be adapted for a dry sump oiling system for those who wanted to run the car hard in the corners, which is something that made the Super Duty 455 cars very unique in the American muscle car ecosystem. This was a big 7+ liter displacement car that could also really handle. Pontiac also fitted the Super Duty 455 with a special set of heads to truly maximize airflow, which was Pontiac's X factor on squeezing out as much power out of this engine as possible. With the compression ratio on the car only being 8.4 to 1, it was still able to put out an impressive 310 horsepower in 1973, which was really quick for that year and especially for an 8.4 to 1 compression car. Car and Driver in their write-up of the car even called the Super Duty 455 Trans Am the last of the fast cars. So that should tell you something about this Trans Am's performance. And as for performance figures, the bone stock Super Duty Trans Ams were baffling other automakers at the time. Car and Driver tested these SD455 cars in the quarter mile, and they were able to run a 13.75 at 103 miles an hour. And Hot Rod Magazine was able to even beat that test time and clock a 13.5 at 104. which made the Super Duty equipped Firebirds by far the fastest new car to be offered by an American manufacturer in 1973. These numbers were blistering fast. But I should note there's a tiny bit of a catch. See, these cars that were ran by the magazines were prototype cars. They were not technically the same as the final production cars. The prototype cars featured the old Pontiac Ram Air 4 camshaft, while the production cars ended up not getting that cam. The actual customer-delivered cars made 290 horsepower as opposed to the test cars' 310. So the production versions of the Super Duty 455 cars were a tad bit slower than these test cars were in stock form, but very few people left these things stock. Switch out the factory 342 or 308 rear gears that the Super Duties came with for a more aggressive set, add some headers and better tires, and even the production spec Super Duty cars were deep into the 12-second range. Oh, and another cool trick that could be done to boost performance on these Super Duty Trans Ams was removing the block-off plate on the Trans Am's shaker hood. The plate was installed purely to meet some stupid noise regulation requirement, but if you remove the plate, you could essentially gain 2/10 in the quarter mile, which is definitely not bad considering the modification is basically free. These Super Duty cars were also available with either a 4-speed manual transmission or a Turbo 400 automatic. Interestingly enough though, a majority of these cars were actually built with the automatic as it was a required option to get air conditioning. All the Super Duty cars utilized the same 11-inch front disc brakes and rear drums as pretty much any other F-body car as well. So in typical American car fashion, you got more power and no more braking. But braking performance aside, everybody universally agrees that the 73 Super Duty Trans Ams are arguably some of the best looking Trans Ams ever made and definitely some of the best looking muscle cars ever made. Being the last year of the pre-big bumper cars, these 73 Trans Ams kept that muscular sculpted front end that didn't have any chrome bumpers on it. Couple that with the enormous shaker hood scoop, Trans Am decals, and the rad spoiler and ground effects kit, the Super Duty Trans Ams were certainly iconic. And a fun fact being that they even offered the SD455 engine in a Firebird formula trim if you wanted a more subdued 455 powered beast without all the extra Trans Am exterior stuff. And amazingly enough, Pontiac was also able to somehow keep the Super Duty engine option alive for the 1974 model year as well, when the Firebird received its new facelift to comply with these new crash testing regulations. The core of the F-body remained the same, but most notably it had a revised nose and rear end to accommodate the new bumper style. The 74 model year of the 455 still allegedly retained the full 290 horsepower output as well, which is arguably even more impressive by 1974 than it was in 1973, given by just how much performance was starting to fall off for other cars. Nothing made in America could touch these cars for the price new, and especially not much from Europe either. Car and Driver in period again even recommended choosing a Super Duty equipped Trans Am over the significantly more expensive De Tomaso Pantera, saying it was a much better dollar value car. The Super Duty Firebirds represented an amazing performance car bargain, but they still weren't necessarily cheap by comparison. At $5,500 plus, these cars were still fairly expensive, and that made them out of reach for many of the younger performance junkies at the time. And with the EPA regulations closing in on Pontiac, 1974 would also be the last true hurrah for the Super Duty cars. Pontiac would still offer a 455 the next year in 1975, but it was only a shell of its former self, making now just 200 horsepower. For the euphoric 2-year run that the Super Duty 455 Firebirds had from 1973 to 1974, just under 1,300 Trans Ams were made, 295 cars in 1973, and 1,001 cars in 1974. And the Super Duty formula cars were even rarer at just about 100 total cars being built. And lots of these Super Duty cars over the last 50 years got destroyed or lost in the sands of time since they were built, which now makes these extremely valuable collector cars, with current prices averaging around $120,000 for the 1973 cars and $80,000 to $100,000 for the 1974 cars, which, to be honest, I feel is a deserving price. These cars were a rare FU to extra regulations, and they gave muscle car enthusiasts something to be excited about for 2 more years than they otherwise would have been. But that is the short history of Pontiac's last hurrah to the muscle car era, the 1973 to 1974 Super Duty 455 Firebirds. If you enjoyed this video, we would greatly appreciate it if you could drop a like and also share this video with other enthusiasts. Also, please make sure that you are subscribed to the Rare Cars YouTube channel and smash that notification bell for more documentary-style videos just like this on the world's most interesting cars. Until next time, enthusiasts.